So it's been news today, but it's not headline news. 500 more people have drowned in the Mediterranean in yet another migrant shipping disaster. 500 people. I don't want to make this video too sentimental or political, but to me, it's a striking thing that there could be an event where 500 people die and it's just not news anymore, or it's passing news, secondary news. That's really quite striking. Every one of those 500 people would have had anxieties, fears, loves, hobbies, interests. 500 people, probably more. I don't think this is the worst tragedy on the Mediterranean. There was one towards the end of last year where up to 900 people died. But 500 people is 500 people. There's obviously no easy answers to the migrant crisis that Europe is facing. I definitely think that targeting people traffickers is a big part of the equation because they're basically exploiting desperate people, overcrowding them into these ramshackle vessels, and that's definitely a big part of it. There's enormous pressure on countries like Italy, Cyprus, and Greece, and Turkey. Um, there's no easy answers. I don't know. I just don't know what the answer is. I do think that in the situation of conflicts like that going on in Syria, regional powers, wealthy regional powers like Saudi Arabia, really, really need to be doing a lot more. But if you're a refugee and the choices go to Saudi Arabia, go to European country, what's incredible though is that many of these people are still willing to take the risks rather than live in under a dictatorship or under the warlike circumstances that they're in. And a lot of people get very judgmental and say things like, they're not real refugees or anything like that. But anyone who's knowingly going into these circumstances has to be a desperate person, knowing that they could very well die. Um, I think there's been a sort of crude nickname, the deadly season or the spring of death or something like that, that's now come up ever since this crisis really became a major thing. Many thousands of people have died now in this crossing. And it is a similar story in the Andaman Sea, which is less reported. Anyway, I'm going to round this up, but there's not even much more I can say. I don't know what the answer is, but I do feel I just want to make this video so that that sacrifice is not just a non-issue. I just want to say what has happened. 500 people. It's a major, major tragedy. And whatever people feel on the refugee crisis or how we deal with it, let's never ever be so desensitized and so detached from it that we don't take that into consideration that it is what it is. Um, I'm not making any sort of neoliberal statement with this. I'm not saying let's just let everyone in. It's a complex situation, but it is what it is. 500 people have died today, and it will definitely not be the last time this happens.